running concerts and searches for the best coffee, people, and amazing stories so you don't have to.
Pay attention, you're going to learn something for a change.
This is a show about all of those things and much, much more.
You're blowing my mind right now. I hope someone's recording this.
So settle in, pour a cup of amazing coffee. He's a coffee snob, by the way. Crank that ghetto blaster and enjoy the 150,000 ranked podcast in the land.
Fake laugh, hiding real pain.
I think that's an exaggeration. It's the Brenton on Tour podcast.
Any questions?
Here's BD.
Just like that, live to the world. Hey, everybody, how's it going? It's Brent with the Brenton on Tour podcast back. Season 3 is here. And as I mentioned to you last week, we were talking about bringing some of my favorite touring people along. We've all been kind of touring around the world a little bit and doing shows, and the touring world is back, and it's been a little bit kind of crazy. All these bands have been kind of going through all these variations of touring, and they haven't been out on the road for a long time. We've had Crew on last week talking about what they were going through. And as I mentioned, I'm going to have a few different scenarios pop up over the course of the season where I'm going to have various members of bands and agents and managers and all the rest of it that have some time to talk about what they've been going through as they've been rescheduling and having all of these kind of scenarios pop up that no one's ever seen before. So on Monday on the Kids on the Escalator podcast, which is the other show that I do with my friend Chris Machete, we talk comic books and movies and film and all that good stuff. And we had my guest this week on as well. He's decided to hang around and be gracious enough to, give me some time on this show where we're going to change it up a little bit and talk a little bit more about touring music, their brand new album, all the rest of it. So really happy to bring to the table here good friend Matt from Trivium. How you doing, buddy? Live from your Twitch.
Yep, very good, man. How are you? Good to see you.
I'm good, man. It just feels like a couple of days ago. It just feels like a few days ago.
Was that yesterday? Was that 2 days ago? I never
well, it was
know
Monday.
when.
Yeah, it was Monday that we did it, and you've been busy since. And as I mentioned before, to anyone sort of like paying attention to online, Matt's one of the busiest guys in the land when it comes to online and doing his Twitch and all the rest of it. It's really great. So
thanks, man.
We just finished a little bit of a run through America and almost Canada. And on this little run here, Megadeth, Lamb of God, Trivium, and Heafy, who got added when In Flames couldn't make it due to some of the stuff that we're going to talk to today, which is obviously some protocol and some of the things that we've been going through. So been a while since you guys got going on tour and some stuff, and we met out there and bonded over coffee. There you go, some coffee that I've got going on today. And it was awesome to kind of get an introduction to your band. Even though I've done shows for you before in Vancouver and off and on, we didn't get the time that we did on this run, a couple of weeks together to kind of hang out and catch up. So let me start by saying, hey, this is Matt from Trivium. They got a brand new record out right there. It's beautiful cover. Look at that. We talked about it the other night, and we'll get into a little bit of that. They got a warehouse that's now a hangar. Well, it was an old airline hangar, which is amazing. And we did a whole bunch of shows together in fields just like this, in arenas filled with people. So this was your reintroduction to touring in this new world, my friend. So tell me, what did you think?
It was amazing. It was so good to be back. It was so great to be back and so great to finally be in front of people again. Thankfully, I've been streaming on Twitch for the last 4.5 years. And as the last 4 years, I've been streaming 5 days a week, 2 times a day off tour, 7 days a week, 1 to 4 times a day on tour. So I've always had people, and I've been able to be connected and continue connection for other people this entire time. However, to finally be playing shows in front of other human beings in the same room was really amazing. I didn't mind any of the protocols and stuff we had to do. Our band and crew all were fully vaccinated. Then I had breakthrough. My wife had breakthrough. We had our tour manager who was looking a little bit sniffly, a little bit questionable on one of the days. We dropped them off at a hotel in Odessa. We tested ourselves 4 or 5 times, showed up the next day. I was able to talk to you, talk to a couple people, talk to people, and sort of like, check this out. This is all of us right now. We can keep doing this all day long, and we kept doing that to make sure we kept a little further away, double masking, just to make sure the shows happened. And the shows still happened. We didn't miss one show. Didn't have one band guy go down. It was amazing. It was great too. None of the shows were events where we heard about stuff. We didn't hear about anything happening because they were all amphitheaters. They were outdoors. People were in seats, and even people in the pits, even people in Knotfest. Like it's good. It was good. It was good. I didn't mind every precaution. I didn't mind wearing a mask everywhere but on stage because I just wanted the shows to happen, and they did, and they were wonderful.
Yeah, it was quite something to watch. And you guys were, right in that great spot on the tour, second artist out. Really, basically, we're at, 80% capacity in the venue by the time you guys got on. So you had some great crowds. Did you have anything in particular, any show in particular that you loved more than any of them? What was the crowd?
I kept ranking them. Like some people, I remember I'd see people be like, "Oh, of course he said this city was the best or we were the best." They all do that. I was like, "No, I actually do hold a very specific competition. Like people have to top the ones, and I will keep being honest, and I will keep telling them like who the last best one was. If you were to count, let's say just the festivals, Knotfest was the best. Blue Ridge has a lot of work to do. Blue Ridge, if you want to have us back, you got to fix all your stuff. That is not how you run a festival. Knotfest was incredible though. Megadeth, Lamb of God, the best show was Minneapolis for sure. That was the craziest crowd, but there were so many best ones. Minneapolis, Rogers, Chicago.
How about Rogers, Arkansas?
Mexico.
Rogers, Arkansas was, that's Walmart money there, but that venue is amazing. And when you see it, if you're there in person, I don't think anyone on there, if we look at this touring schedule here and where we went and all the different places, I'm not sure anyone on their bingo card had Rogers, Arkansas as the best show. And that's not a hack on Arkansas because, hey, you know what I mean? To whatever everyone does is what they do. But
that is not the one that I thought would be the one that would beat all of California, all of the Northeast. I mean, Rogers was like in third place for the tour, which is crazy for the Megadeth shows. Minneapolis being first.
They got the
venue's
venue's
got Rogers.
The venue's got the big LED wall, and it looked like a mini Coachella. Like you guys framed out really well. If you want to see some great photos, go on Sarah Dope's Instagram page. She got some great stuff of you guys out there as well. But she got some really great stuff of Rogers in particular. It looks like you're playing a mini Coachella. So
it was amazing. Rogers was so good. The food was good. The dress rooms were good. I was able to do jiu-jitsu that day. It was a great day. That was a really good day. I mean, the greatest dress room of my career though was in Denver. That was, I forgot what the name of the venue was.
Was this on this tour, you mean, or on
this tour? On this tour, I think I think someone gave us the wrong dressing room, but I wasn't going to say anything. I could say it now, and I hope that happens again. Wink, wink, Brett. It was giant. It was bigger than my house. The dressing room, like we
played in an arena, Matt. We played in an arena. Everything was big.
Dude, still, because there were a couple arenas we did where we had like a little closet, but this one was like, walk in, there's an office with its own shower and bathroom. Then we had like an open area where we were able to do jiu-jitsu, walk through a giant locker area, and then like 10 toilets, 10 showers. Like if you give me clean toilets, good showers, and a room I could do jiu-jitsu and play Call of Duty and catering, then the stage could be a hole in the ground. Like as long as I have a toilet, shower, good food, fiber internet, and I could do jiu-jitsu, that's a lot of stuff, I guess. And I'm happy. But that was
you were mentioning about playing those bigger shows. But what do you prefer? You guys did a few club shows on this trip, so you did a few of your own in anticipation of the release of the album, and the song was out there doing some great stuff while you guys were out there doing it. So. I mean, those big stages are amazing, but what do you prefer? What works best for your band?
I mean, I think that we're a very physical band, so either works. But if you can give us a big stage and we can use our production, like this tour, we decided it's like, hey, we're direct support. Let's not bring too crazy production because when we headline, we do have a lot of stuff. I remember in Concord, California, Mustaine actually asked me, he's like, hey, what do you guys normally bring out when you headline? I was telling him, he's like, okay, because it's like I noticed you guys didn't have that much on this tour. I was like, well, we didn't want to bring up too much and get in the way. And he hinted at me, he's like, bring more out. So hopefully, and if I put it out in the air and I put it especially with you and your people at Live Nation, like I feel like leg 2 needs to happen. And if I say leg 2 is happening, I put it out in the air,
universe.
It's going to happen. Yes, so it's out there. So we're going to say leg 2 needs to happen, and hopefully it is happening. But we're going to bring more stuff because we got the blessing from the man himself. So we're going to bring out a whole bunch of stuff. So hopefully some dragons. No, I'm serious.
Like an inflatable dragon to kind of go
That's
with
what we
the...
want to. We want to bring out golden dragons on stage, and I told Mustaine that, and he said it sounded like a good idea. So give me leg 2, give us some room for dragons, and we'll bring them out because we know it'll fit. So that was cool. That was cool that the man, like, he talked to me about staging and production, and you guys should have big shows and do your thing. I was like, well, we just didn't. It's true. We didn't want to get in the way. We were just happy to be touring. So we wanted to have as little of a footprint as possible.
I should bring Patrick in on this conversation and see if he's got any more room on his stage.
Yes.
I'm sure. I wonder if Dave had the same conversation with Hatebreed. You guys should bring more stuff. You guys should bring way more stuff. When he told me,
I was like, all right, Dave. And I told my band immediately. I was like, Dave wants us to bring more stuff. The club shows, yes, but you're asking. The club shows were insane. What's really cool, the club shows, American tours have always done all right for us. I feel like America's always been pretty good. Canada's always been insane. Canada's always been at the same insane level for as Europe. South America's a whole nother level above everyone else. But our American headlining shows felt like freaking European shows. Our Orlando show looked like a Spanish or a Portuguese show. What that means is the crowd is nonstop moving, singing every single thing. Our Pittsburgh show, the entire crowd was smiling the whole time. I remember all the crew guys for a band afterwards were like, I haven't felt a show like that in years. And they were like, it's just so positive and so happy that everyone was in such a good mood. Like, I've got the VOD on my channel. You can watch it. The whole crowd is smiling the entire show, singing and screaming every single word. Orlando, they were singing and screaming every single guitar part. That's why when you start singing the guitar parts, that's like Latin America style. Yeah, that's like romance country style. That's like Portugal, Italy, France, Spain. Those are the football chant, like Iron Maiden show style. So to see that make its way over to America has been pretty awesome. But Wichita was insane. Boise was insane. Pittsburgh was the winner of the club shows, and if you consider Orlando part of it, Orlando was even better. So everything just kept getting better. These were the best American shows we've ever. I'm super bummed on Canada, but what's good is Canada having to get moved to leg 2 makes leg 2 a little bit more realistic.
And a whole bunch of stuff just got opened up here as far as capacity and all the rest of it. So I think
let's do all of Canada, man.
I think
we're
probably on our way out. I think we're on our way out pretty soon.
Let's do Vancouver. Let's do Saskatchewan. Let's do Winnipeg. Let's do it all.
Do you know all your provinces?
I don't. But I do know.
It's funny how we as Canadians know practically every state.
Do you know the provinces? There's no, I don't. Ontario.
That's for
British
the next
Columbia.
One. Pop quiz.
No, I know those two. But I can tell you where to eat in multiple the cities. Montreal, you want to eat at Le Bremner, which is an incredible seafood restaurant that is Chef Danny Smiles, who is underneath Chef Chuck Hughes, who's, I believe, Canada's probably most popular chef, one of. Vancouver, Mutant Sushi, as you and I have talked about, the giant Mutant Sushi, you have to eat there. And that's awesome. You've been doing our shows back at the Commodore. I love that venue. That is such a nice venue. Great dressing rooms, great stage, great venue. I've done jiu-jitsu many times on that main floor in there.
You do a lot of jiu-jitsu out here. It was interesting to watch you kind of randomly. I wasn't expecting that from all of a sudden set up backstage and there's a full wrestling mat and you're literally like, you guys were leaving it all out there.
Oh yeah,
you were literally wrestling.
I currently have an
wrestling just anybody. You had a partner. You had a training partner with you.
Yeah, Andre is a retired professional MMA fighter too, and that dude is a beast. He's our head of security. He was, I believe, his record was 9-2 when he retired. He just got his black belt a couple days ago. His striking is his specialty. I'm not a striker. I'm a grappler. I'm currently wearing a compression ice sleeve because my MCL is either strained, sprained, or slightly torn. So yeah, jiu-jitsu, I take it pretty seriously. I love it. I've been doing it for about 9 years. I keep it up with me on tour. I've been, since I got into it, I've been still training on tour, 3 to 5 days a week on tour, but at home it's 5 days a week. I love it.
Is that your mental break?
There's a couple. I've got a couple because I'm an extremely, I know it doesn't seem like it because you've only ever had like really we've only ever had great calm conversations over good food and coffee together. I'm an extremely high anxiety person. And the only way I can quell my high anxiety is by doing a lot of things. That's why I do so much. So I do my channel, all the socials, Ashtanga Yoga, I've been training since 2011. Steel Mace I've been doing for a couple years, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for 9 years, gaming, Jiu-Jitsu, Steel Mace, those things all help me kind of find that flow state, which is one of my favorite places to be in life where I'm not thinking, I'm in that meditative state. Same with gaming. If it's the right competition, the right lobbies, I can find that relaxed flow state and my brain finally goes silent. And that happens a lot of times in shows with enough rehearsal. That's why I rehearse so damn much. My stream, a lot of people kind of look outside in like, oh, is Matt playing games the whole time? Well, at home on tour, 75-90% of the time, it's me rehearsing Trivium songs for Trivium fans. And so it's just me training. It's me training because my philosophy is I want to be in shape for Trivium 365 days a year. So that way, if I have to make a record tomorrow or I have to go on tour tomorrow, I am in shape and I'm ready to go. And that's just the way I prefer to do it. So that way, when I walk on stage, I'm so rehearsed and so practiced vocally, guitar-wise, Trivium-wise, that I don't have to think, do I know this song? Can I hit these notes? Do I have the stamina for this? Is my screaming going to work? Do I know what's going on? I could just let go and enjoy the show.
People don't understand that it really is a workout, to get ready to go on tour. People think, and I definitely think it's changed a lot. I mean, I haven't drank like I'm coming up on 3 years now, and that was one of those things where touring can really play havoc on that side of it. And just even just having a drink a night or something, or a beer a night, or some kind of thing. And mentally, it can wear you down. And I always tell people, I'm like, well, I got to get ready to go on tour. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, I got to get into my fighting weight. I got to get good because, I've got to train for 4 weeks, 5 weeks leading in. I try to be active when I'm home, but I got to train for 4 or 5 weeks leading in pretty hard because you're not going to get enough sleep out there. You're not going to get the diet that you're used to out there. And it's, as best as we try to make catering good, it's a thing. You got to mentally get there. You got to physically get there. And I don't think people realize the toll that touring takes on you. They think it's all partying and all the rest of it, but you can attest.
Exhausting.
This last tour, there wasn't a single person backstage that wasn't, part of the tour. And, that's changed everything. So mentally, touring has changed. Touring, I think, is going to change here a little bit over the next little bit. So what do you think of this new kind of touring that's, I think, upon us for at least a couple of years? And I don't want to call it COVID touring, but it's definitely some kind of, there's a difference here.
Yeah, I mean, what's funny is, people were asking, oh, how do you feel about all the extra precautions, wearing a mask, etc. The big thing going into all of this, sickness, COVID, vaccines, mask, regulations, everything. I look at Portugal. Portugal has no one left to vaccinate, and I looked up why. They never politicized any of it. Everyone's like, virus, vaccine, go. We're not going to think about this any other way. And I did the same thing. I thought, I've gotten tons of vaccines as a person, as a kid, as a baby. My kids have had 20 vaccinations to the time they're 3. Hepatitis A, B, and C, chickenpox. There's a freaking chickenpox vaccine now. I would have loved to have the chickenpox vaccine and not have chickenpox. All these different things. When you go to South America, in different parts of the world, you have to get vaccinations if you're going to go by the jungle or these different places. So I just thought of it as, I don't want to get sick and die. I just want to play shows and do jiu-jitsu and eat food and hang out. So I got it right away. I've been wearing a mask on airplanes for the last maybe 15 or 20 years. So I'm like, I got to sleep on an airplane. I might sleep with my mouth open. I don't want someone, putting an appendage in my mouth while I'm sleeping. I don't want someone sneezing in my mouth. I don't want to breathe in other people's farts. And these are things people need to think about. Don't think a mask equals politics. Think about, do you want to breathe in someone else's farts? Like, that's just the way you got to think about it. Same thing on a bus. I have been sleeping with a sick mask for the last 15 years on tour. So this wasn't even an adjustment for me. This was easy. I'm the guy that puts on latex gloves and Cloroxes the entire bus anyway. Like, I Clorox the hell out of my bus, bring my own sheets before I ever even get into a tour bus. So this wasn't like a shock to me. And yes, I sleep with the paper sick mask. I've been doing that for 15 years on a tour bus because I figure I might open my mouth while I'm sleeping. The AC vent's going to dry my voice out. I'll sound like crap the next day, or someone might be sneezing, or Budweiser McDonald's farts across from the bunk alley. Like, these are the things that I need people to think about and not think of it like some alarmist. Like, it's just gross stuff you're trying to keep out of your face. And so
I think more people are concentrated on that now.
Yeah. So for me, it was a pleasure. Like, I was like, all right, great. I don't have to smile at people as much. I don't have to smell people's breaths. It was easy. Like, because I just wanted shows to happen. For having not had shows in 2 years, it was nice to just be able to play shows. So I would have done
a brand new record out. I mean, was that record basically like, we're sitting around and let's make a record, or was it already sort of planned to have an album in that 2020? Well, I know you put one in 2020, but I'm just saying, was there a plan all along to go for it, or did you just have all these extra songs and then it turned into what some are calling your best album ever.
The last three, I believe it's the last three. I might have to verify with Paulo and Corey. Sometimes my memory can be a little shady. But the last three, we didn't have a plan. Hey, it's writing time. And actually, we've only ever done one record where it was, all right, guys, you need to make a record. This is your writing time. This is your recording time. That was The Crusade. I love that record. I stand by it. But that's not the way we work. We need to work in, we're feeling inspired. We're feeling good. Let's make some songs. So this record came about, I think with Trivium, we're all such workaholics for what we do because we love to work in our band. We love to be the best at each of our thing. So when you take away one aspect of the ability to work and the ability to go kill it on stage and play tours, we just filled it with something else. We filled that space with more Trivium work. And I remember, I think it was one of the earlier riffs. I was one day playing a new guitar, came with the riff, the verse would fall into your hands while streaming. I had one of my moderators clip it for me, send it to me. I sent it to the guys like, hey, I came with this thing randomly on tour. What do you think of it? And Paulo and Corey were like, you know what? I have a riff too. So we all started sending each other riffs, realizing that we were capturing lightning in a bottle. That's the way we like to write records. Material starting to present itself. Let's grab it. Let's harness it. Let's hold it. Let's start working on it. Let's get in the room together. And the phrase I've been using is organically improvise. Organically improvise and let these songs write themselves. Because the way we write, as selfishly as it sounds, and it's the best way for us to write, is we write the kind of music the four of us want to hear, the four of us want to play. We don't think, is anyone going to like this? Is anyone dislike this? I think once you start doing that, and once you start thinking, I want to go grab this fan over here, or there's two phrases, I call it the fictitious fan and the boardroom fan. When I imagine bands that are like, let's go grab the people that like this kind of music. When you start doing that, you're no longer being true to yourself. If you want to make changes and try different things, and you're a heavy band, you want to go soft, you're a heavy band, you want to go proggy and different, that's fine. If you genuinely want to do that. But if you're doing that to try to grab someone new, you're going to lose the spirit of your band. So the spirit of our band, the spirit of our band
agree.
is just,
I agree with that. Because I think that if you look at some of the bands, and there's a lot of bands guilty of this, which make trend records. And I really think that it's all bands are just trying to cut a career. And how do you carve out a career? You got to keep it interesting for yourself, obviously, and push yourself. But I think if you, to your point about you're making records for you and you guys to enjoy listening to back your own, you want to listen to your own stuff. It's like actors watching, their own films. It's like you want to be able to be proud of your work and listen and watch back on it. You don't want to be looking back on timestamp it and go, oh man, we really sounded like this band then. Well, remember when we tried our grunge phase? Remember when we did the, and I think that it just disconnects the fans like crazy versus that
just like authentically writing for yourself, like making the stuff that made it fun in the first place. I mean, we just had a conversation with our record label the other day. We weren't talking about us doing this stuff, but we're just hypothetically talking about, and you think about, and you know this as well as I do, and the two of us probably know this world better than the chat and your listeners. It's like the way people try to write for radio, like what a double-edged sort of a game that is, because if you start to try to write like people that had a successful genre or song, and then bands start hiring songwriters to write song like someone on alt rock radio or on pop rock radio, but try to make it rock, then you're already several steps behind trying to chase up to something that someone else already did. Then you're already behind on this thing, and it doesn't correlate, like live shows versus record spins versus radio. These are three things that kind of float around. And for metal is always, we don't write for that format. We don't write for rock radio. If our stuff works on it, awesome, play it. If you need an edit where there's a little less screaming, some singing, sure, but we're not going to write a song with a rock guy and put it on a record. However, if our stuff works, it works, because we've always loved melody. We love melody, but we also love extremity. So it's, I guess that we could talk for that. But
then you get it right. Then you get it right though, and it's Feast of Fire comes out or something. You're like, and then it blows up and it's doing really great. So then you kind of go, huh?
Yeah. And then that's tapping back to just what felt good to make. Like we've always, since our second record, Ascendancy, we've had songs that are of that realm of Feast of Fire. We had a song called Die in Your Arms that we just loved making stuff like that. We had two A&R guys when we first got signed to Roadrunner, and one of them hated Die in Your Arms. He's like, this shouldn't be on the record. And that song ended up making BBC Radio 1, which is like, that's everyone's on BBC Radio. Like
think
Adele's
of all
on
the
Radio
bands that have been told that.
Yeah.
Think of all the bands that have been told to not put that song on the radio. Isn't there a famous story about I remember you from Skid Row. And they're like, we're not putting this on the record. Could you imagine what kind of career they would have had?
Yeah,
I mean,
I remember when
outside of that,
we were doing Sounds of the Snow. The producer was like, "Until the World Goes Cold" is not gonna be a radio single. I'm like, what? And Paul's like, "I bet you it is," and the guy's like, "It's not gonna be." And so sometimes it's gambling, and it absolutely was. It was our only time we ever had a top 10 single. But yeah, it is weird. So I think that the key for rock and metal is to make the kind of music that makes you feel good to play, makes you feel good to hear. Pop's a whole nother story. Like, pop needs to be perfect, and I think I love great pop music. I think the last several Justin Bieber things have been amazing. The last record, the new single's great, and they have to be perfect, and that's why they require 1 to 10 songwriters or 1 to 10 producers, because they have to be perfect. And there's a time and a place for perfect pop music, but for metal, to make perfect metal, to make metal correctly. Just 1 second. I hear
that's a
screaming
child.
Yeah, 1 second.
That's fine. We all have dad duties as it goes through, and children will play havoc with that. So Matt's going to deal with that. A couple things I was going to show you though, while Matt's got his doing dad duties. Matt's got they bought a hanger. Trivium bought a hanger. How cool is that? And what a great place to do rehearsing, and what a great place to plan out a live shows in this hangar that you get you have Matt back now. So what a great idea. And I'm sure
he spilled milk on his face and was pissed.
He spilled milk on his face. Well,
yeah, it sounded like he just broke his arm, but that's all it was.
We've all done that. The so basically I'm always fascinated by it, because it's lightning in a bottle, as you said, and I think that this tour was really great for you guys to go back out on tour, and it just seemed to be perfect timing, because some bands had put a record out and then they couldn't tour it, and it's sort of over. And I think a few bands caught a little bit of luck, kind of getting a tour in before everything shut down, and then now you guys being one of the first ones to get out there, I think was very beneficial. And I would think that it's probably been very beneficial for the record. What kind of feedback 100%. Are you getting on it?
Yeah, well, what's really interesting too is, like, when I first ever heard of this metal tour of the year and I saw the lineup before the world shut, I was like, man, hopefully 2,500 to 3,500 people. This is gonna be insane. Like, that was the numbers I was hoping for. And this tour was 5,000 to 10,000 people a night. That's insane. That is insane for America. It's insane for metal. The new record, I mean, we never thought about any of the good stuff going on. We just said, let's just make this thing. And you hear people saying, hey, In the Court of the Dragon's your best song ever. And then, hey, In the Court of the Dragon's the best record you've ever done. And then press coming around and talking about us, and bands coming around and talking about us. Then we're like, all right, we did something that flipped that script of me saying it's just our fans. But still, it was all about us first, then our fans.
That's the way to do it. The fans will feel that live. They'll see it live, and you can see it live. You guys kill it.
And our last record,
at the end of this. But
what the Dead Men say, we'd finished that record. The label said, hey, you guys should hold on to this and not release this, because the world's looking a little bit weird. Looks like it might shut down. And we said, we don't care. We're like, we don't care about album sales. We don't care about vinyl sales. Like, just get this thing out. Get it out so people have something to enjoy, something to listen to if the world truly is about to shut. Give them this record for free. Let's go. So we got it out, and it was just about making our fans feel good. And then that's when we did A Lighter Distant Mirror, our first pay-per-view show. Because we've been streaming all of our shows for free for the last 4 years on Twitch, and doing a couple free Twitch events. And we said, hey, let's do a proper pay-per-view. Let's take everything we have saved in the bank. We're not a big band. We're a medium-sized band. Let's take everything we got saved in the bank, invest that into this show. Let's buy staging. Let's build staging. Let's hire Muse as lighting director. Let's get a real crew out here. Let's follow all the protocols. Let's get everyone down, get a real venue. We did all that, and our manager was like, hey, if no one buys tickets to this, you guys are going to be broke for, I have no idea how long. Thankfully, because our supporters are the greatest in the world, and they understand what it is to watch us live and watch a live stream, they bought good tickets. So then we were able to take that cash, buy the airplane hangar. So it was this taking risks, like strategized, and I hate to use words like, that's been one of the weird things too. Like, hearing a lot of band guys talk about their bands using like kind of buzzy tech words nowadays, but here I am using buzzy tech words. So strategized risk with our band that each time ended up working, at least what the Dead Men say, into A Lighter Distant Mirror, into the airplane hangar, into the Court of the Dragon, and then in this tour. So yeah, if the world hadn't shut, I don't know what maybe the ticket sales would have still been the same. I don't think that was a bonus necessarily.
Well, I think it would have been a different thing. I think it would have been like, oh, we've seen them a bunch live. Mm-hmm. Now they're offering this new thing, right? So now, because all the bands did that, and I think that's the biggest problem around that time with bands streaming is that there was some bands not putting a ton of effort into it, so it was just them jamming in a room, and I think that some of it got lost
Yeah, like I felt like,
on
hey
the
man, if you're
loss.
gonna charge, you need to make this thing something special. Like this, you gotta go for it. And that's why anytime like we've got tiers
Yeah,
for ourselves, like we did like a Twitch festival show the 2 nights after Orlando show. It was in the jam area part. It was off the backpack. I streamed the shows in. The mix sounded great. The visuals were fine. But it's
yeah,
like that's what we imagined is like the free tier. That's like for our channel, that's for our
sure.
people. And then when it's time to do something special, if we're gonna ask people to pay for something live, and especially nowadays, like since live streams aren't necessarily a necessity, it has to be something special. So we'll make sure it's something special if we do another one.
I'm a big Foos fan. Like I think a lot of us are a Foo Fighter fan. And the thing about that band is that they're filmed a lot. Every band is filmed a ton right now, but they're filmed a lot. And the
Yep.
show has sort of been, once you've seen a Foo thing, it's sort of like there's a lot of the endings are kind of the same. They jam out a little bit. They do a few things, but then they did the live in LA at a club, and it was going to be a pay-per-view show. And I was really stoked. I'm like, okay, cool, this will be great. And I thought maybe there'd be a bit of a change up because it's like this new thing, and maybe they do something in it. And it was kind of like what I was like, Ugh, I'm. They didn't really change anything, and it's not like. I understand at that time the tech was a little bit wacky, but I was like, I would have loved like them to like do a whole Motorhead album. Like
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
do like
That'd be
something
awesome.
and then they in essence added the DGs, their 70s kind of disco thing, which was funny down the road, but at the time I was looking for something just a little different. So I'm glad that you guys recognize that, put
Yep.
the production in, and I think it paid off for you, and now you have a hanger, so there we are.
Yeah. I wish we could have used that production on Megadeth, but it was the tour would have laughed at us. It's so much stuff; it would take up all the space.
We
Like
need a
that's the
couple
kind of
more
thing. Like
trucks.
if we were headlining, we could have done it. But I've
So
never
let me
wanted to bring it
so
up.
let me go the other way with this then, and it comes back to the production side. Is that keeping in mind COVID and some of the things that we've had to go through. You probably witnessed on this tour. Some guys went down,
Mhm.
not band guys per se. Everyone was fine, but we had a lot of production guys go down. Or occasional production guy go down, monitor guy go down, lighting guy go down, which made everyone else have to kind of step in
Yep.
and fill in.
Yep.
So in
And
this
this,
particular case, that if you brought the extra production,
you
it
probably have to
might
start losing it. Yeah.
you'd probably
Especially
have
if
to
it's
start
like,
losing it,
yep.
and you
Yep.
have to take that I think into consideration, contingency. So,
Yep. Definitely.
have you guys internally talked about that? Like, I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and
We
this
came into
isn't
this tour
in
with like
district.
many contingency
Yeah,
plans for everything. And what was amazing is how our tour, this tour, handled it. Like someone would look suspicious, we test everybody that was around them. You're all good. This guy's not. You're gonna isolate, so you're good. And there was no reason to make that stuff public, and we didn't. Which because we made sure there's this outbreak. It's not an outbreak. Fine, because we need to start recognizing this and thinking this is because I'm vaccinated, had breakthrough. It's like this thing needs to become endemic. Like it needs to kind of everyone needs to get immunity in their own way, however they get it. And we need to keep moving on because it's unfortunately it looks like this is going to be a yearly thing. It's like swine flu. Swine flu's baked into our flu shot. So
hmm,
it's we don't shut down when a singer gets food poisoning, when they get bronchitis. When I've had bronchitis, tonsillitis, I've had every kind of sickness in the world, flu, food poisoning, all this stuff on tour. But I've had to continue performing anyway. I've had incredibly infectious sicknesses while being on tour, and we just played the show like regular. So it's good. It's great the way we handled it. We didn't miss a single show. Contingency plans going in, we all talked about extensively. Like, all right, Matt's had breakthrough. He's not going to get sick. If one of other of us go down, I was like, all right, flying in a musician's tricky. Thankfully, we play to a click. We play to a click, and we record every single show. So Paulo's idea was, let's say Paulo goes down and he has to go somewhere else. We run his click. We run his bass tracks that he recorded from the first couple of shows for all the shows. Say
hmm,
Alex goes down, same thing. Corey goes down, same thing. I go down, which is unlikely, same thing. And I said, if everybody goes down, if all three of them go down, I'm the last man standing. We're not canceling the show. I'll play an entirely acoustic show. Um, so we
could you
thought of
have done
every
it?
single thing.
Could you have done it? So what you're saying is that you would have ran the show without a drummer and just the three of you playing.
And we would have had Alex's tracks from the tour.
Yeah.
or from rehearsal.
And that's
So,
something
like,
that would have been
yeah.
something to watch. It was kind
Yeah,
of like,
like because we're like, dude, screw canceling shows. Like,
yeah,
we saw a lot of bigger tours doing it, and people kept announcing, like, all right, the crew member of the first of the 6 bands, his
Yeah.
guy tested positive or his aunt tested positive, so we're going to shut the whole tour down for 2 weeks. And it's like, man, we as middle of the ground working class metal guys, we cannot do that. That will kill us,
Yeah.
especially for having not made a penny off touring in 2 years. So we just came in like, let's just do this thing right. And that's why when our TM went down and we're like, we need to up, Trivium, you got to up your stuff. 2 masks, stay the hell away from all of us, even though you're good. Gladly, just let us play. Like, I'll freaking sleep in the parking lot.
You guys should put together your contingency plan and share it with the world and be like, if you want a tour, this is the Trivium guide to contingency plan.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
the show comes first. Like when it comes down to a tour, the audience is first. Like, I know we're talking about like, hey, when you're writing music, it's all about us, like what makes us feel good. When it comes down to a tour,
sure,
it's for the audience. That thing has to be great. And when you start freaking them out, like, all right, today a crew guy went down, but don't worry, we're still going. Then they're still like, I don't know if I should go to that show now. So when we noticed it wasn't spreading at all, I thought our tour handled it amazingly. And I think the word should get out how well we handled it. We, as in the production team and the 4 bands, because we just kept thinking safety of the crowd first. Show must go on. We must give the people the show they need. And I love that we pulled
a lot
it
of tours went down, and you know, by no fault of their own. I think everyone did on all the tours is relatively wise to the idea that some protocols need to be in place, and I think the ones that are following it are doing everything they can, and then the ones that aren't are gonna, you know, they're gonna feel it, and there's gonna be some cancellation of shows. And if you're doing a club show, a club tour, a theater tour, 5 shows, that could cost you the whole tour.
Yes, yes. I mean,
good
because
point
when I
on
saw
that.
stadium tours, it's like, well, the opening band had a light guy that tested positive for it, but don't worry, we're shutting the whole thing down for 10 days. It's like, this tour you wouldn't even be able to run it at that point. You would have lost so much money; it would have killed the bottom line of the tour. And that's the reason why our European tour just moved. We had people go, "Well, you could have gotten the UK, you could have gotten to Germany." It's like, yeah, but the other 12 countries on this run, if we can't get into 3 or 4 of them, that kills the bottom line, hurting all 4 bands, all the crews, all the workers, everything. So sometimes people need to think of like the bigger picture outside of just me and the self, and that's why when we were handed the initial protocols, we're like, that's fine. And even though, at least as far as the precedent went, me having breakthrough, like technically I didn't have to wear a mask because I don't think I could have spread it within that first month or week, but who knows, maybe it's mutated since then. But I was like, whatever you say, I just want to play shows. I just want to play shows. If you tell me I got to wear a freaking hazmat suit all day, I will do it as long as I can play this show.
How are you feeling? We're COVID buddies, by the way. We both had it. Obviously,
Yep.
I was a part of the first wave, and thank my friends in Manchester, England, for that. But how are you feeling post? Are you okay?
Great.
Right?
It was my wife and I had 5 to 7 days of feeling 75%. The first night that I had it, I had a couple cocktails. I had some weed tincture. I don't know what the cool kid phrase of weed tincture is. So I had COVID. I was weed hungover and booze hungover, and had our kids that just got tested positive and was underslept from them having fever dreams. So I just felt that was the worst day. Yeah, that was the worst day of all of it. So having been through it, I mean, 5 to 7 days of feeling 75%, I was still hitting the heavy bag. I was still using the steel mace. I wasn't doing jiu-jitsu, obviously, because didn't want to have anyone around me. And for the first, I'd say maybe the first week after that 7 days, my lung capacity felt a little shrunk, and it's built back up. Ashley said she felt that lung thing for maybe a couple of months, maybe 2 months with breakthrough, that it felt a little tighter, but she said it's worked its way out. My dad had 1 shot, got sick in between, was laid up for 18 weeks, hospitalized twice, almost died twice, has scarring in his lungs, heart, liver, lungs were all damaged a bit. And he's only finally better 19 weeks out, which is crazy. It's not even that he didn't want the second shot. He just got sick in between. So if I think about my genetics, like if I would have only had 1 and gotten it, I probably would have had it. People have it all different, varying ways.
Yeah, I still got a bit. I'm still battling a bit. I was running a lot in St. Louis and some of those humid areas. I did the Rocky Steps in Philly, but then you can check that video out on Instagram, and I'm huffing and puffing, and all I have is cardio, man. So trying to get that back was a tough thing. But I'm glad that you're back to it and you're feeling.
Yeah,
good.
I think I notice it sometimes, but then like today during jiu-jitsu, absolutely nothing. So I think that mine is maybe psychosomatic, and I think I handle stress in like a lung way and in a stomach way. So sometimes I think that it might be that, but maybe it's stress. But thankfully I got through it, and I think if people do their part, people get vaccinated or they've had it or whatever the heck it is, like I look at my family's genetics. My dad had one shot, almost died. I had both, I was fine. So if I didn't have any, I probably would have had it very bad. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to miss streams. I don't want to miss jiu-jitsu. I don't want to not be able to eat good stuff and drink good stuff and drink coffee and drink whiskey. And I don't want to miss any of that. So I want to stay healthy all the time. And I've had no extra arm grow out or arm fall off or do weird things. And
yeah, nothing's sticking to us. None of the spoons are sticking to us, right?
No, nothing.
Time to play a game, buddy.
Still sucks. Yeah.
Time to play a game. All right. So we bonded over coffee. I got a little segment on here I like to do every now and again with my coffee lovers called the Espresso Shot. I'm going to hammer you with 5 quick questions that are going to cover off some of your favorites and a little bit of advice and all the rest of it. And then I'll let you get out of here because I know you're running. You got a billion things to do and you got milk to clean up. So, all right. So this is the Espresso Shot on the Brenton on Tour podcast. It is back for season 3. This is Matt Heafy from Trivium hanging out, and we are going to talk coffee. And it starts with this: your favorite coffee region.
Oh dang! From where it's from or where it's drank?
Your favorite coffee region from where it's from.
Is it Java or is it Ethiopia? I'm trying to figure which one. Probably Ethiopia.
It's a good region. I like it.
Yes.
What's your favorite bean locally to drink or just ship in or find around the world? Wherever
company or specific bean?
Specific bean or
might not know the types.
When I'm here, like when I'm here in this town, this is the place I got to go to, a coffee shop around the world. Doesn't matter what your favorite cup of coffee is.
Sydney, Australia, it's Single Origins Roasters is my favorite. In California or in San Francisco, which one's the one in San Francisco? Portland, Stumptown, Orlando, Lineage. What's the one in San Francisco that rules?
We went
Blue
to
Bottle.
Stumptown.
Blue Bottle.
Advice for someone coming into coffee for the first time to come. Matt, never drank a coffee before. What do I do?
I would start them. I also love mystery diner coffee. Like sometimes it's really crap, but sometimes it's
I did a
awesome.
whole review. Well, we had some in, where were we?
Yes.
St. Louis. We went for breakfast in St. Louis and had some mystery coffee.
That place was good. Like I do like, I think Rooster was the name of the restaurant.
Yeah.
I do like mystery diner coffee. I think there's something nostalgic and amazing about it. I think if someone has never had it before, even though you've shown me that video of like what your coffee drink says about you, I think starting them with something with milk would be a safe bet to kind of like ease the taste buds in, and then show them how good it can be without anything.
Not a bad plan. I always recommend them to go black, but what do you do?
Yep. It's got to be good. It's got to be good for that. Yeah.
Coffee gear. What are you working with gear at home and on tour?
Ashley got some special machine. I forgot what it is. It's not the top of the line fancy, but I remember when we did Vengeance Falls at David Draymond's house, he had a really killer version of this machine. And Ashley's like, what is that? And we bought that modern version of it. I'd have to go check. I could check right now, but it might take a second. But it's a proper special machine that grinds everything. It's got the milk frother on it. It doesn't have the milk thing built into it.
Is it a Breville?
That doesn't sound right.
Copy. They have various versions of it. There's so many versions.
It's like,
but you have
a proper machine. Yeah.
At home, I was bringing, on tour, I was bringing you AeroPress to. I didn't see if you guys were traveling with anything in your dressing room or on tour, but on the bus. Yeah.
On the bus, it was just the standard Keurig, the pods one. So it's fine in a pinch, but we always prefer real deal.
Final question: the biggest coffee myth that you want to debunk?
The vocal thing. So my whole life, I always thought caffeine and coffee wrecks your vocal cords, especially towards the end when my voice almost blew out in Vengeance Falls. And I was like, all right, I can't drink coffee on tour anymore because it's hurting my voice. It was Matt from Avenge when the lessons finally started kicking in. And we were talking by text. He's like, yeah, man, all the talks about reflux and caffeine and diet and all this stuff. He's like, it's just technique. You have to learn the technique properly. And like that other stuff doesn't really affect it. Like caffeine is sure a little bit drying, but so is working out. And you just fix that with hydration. So coffee and caffeine, obviously drinking a pot of coffee on stage, yes, you're going to get reflux. It's going to mess your vocal cords up. But drinking coffee during the day, if you're as a singer, a couple hours before, an hour before, after, it's fine. It's fine. So that is a huge myth for singers.
That's the Espresso Shot with Matt Heafy from Trivium on the Brenton on Tour podcast. Back for season 3, which is pretty rad. I'm going to let you get out of here, man. I know you got a rule. So The In the Court of the Dragon is out now. Awesome cover. We talked about it on the Kids on the Escalator on Monday night. Thank you so much for doing 2 podcasts with me this week, man. I really
This was a
appreciate
blast
it.
of a chat, man. Both were awesome, but this, anytime that you do a chat and it feels like it's been 5 minutes, it's been a really good chat.
Where can people find you online, man?
Twitch.tv/Matthew K. Heafy, at Matthew K. Heafy on Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Discord. It's all there. Matthew K. Heafy.
I played this the other night on Kids on the Escalator podcast. I am going to play it again. This is what Trivium does best. They do it live. This is from, not Vest, out in the middle of a field in Ottawa. That's Matt Heafy from Trivium. Thank you so much, man, for coming by.
Awesome. Thanks, my friend.
Go buy their new record, man. Here we go.
Oh, yo, get the fuck down! That's stage 2. Let's all fucking party together. Come on, get the fuck down! Oh, yo, the back, get the fuck down! I know you know how to do this shit! We ain't coming back up till this motherfucker kicks in. When this motherfucker kicks in, it's 2 words. In waves, top of your lungs. I see you standing. Come on, get down, get down, get down! Now, Fest, when this shit kicks in, everything you fucking got!
Awesome stuff, man. Awesome stuff. Thanks everybody for joining this week on the Brenton on Tour podcast. It was Matt from Trivium. Great guy. Spent an awesome run with those guys. They were so great to be around and hanging around all the time. Always popping in to say hi, and brought it live with a hell of a live show. Really, really cool. And pick up their new record, In the Court of the Dragon, now. It is the 10th album by those guys. And they put a lot into it. It slays. They're having some major success with a bunch of songs on that record. And I know if you got Octane, I believe if you got Octane on Sirius Radio, I believe Feast of Fire is doing really well on the biggins on what it is that they have on their countdown. So great song, great energy, great guy. Again, with this series, talking about touring and sort of what we're doing and what we're up against. You heard him touch a little bit on there that they're pretty heavy on their contingency plan. They're pretty heavy on their plans overall to continue playing shows at no matter what the cost. And so that's a very interesting perspective from that band, where some other bands are just shutting it down and taking it all down. So those guys were very, very prepared for that, which I think was really, really cool. So and you could tell their work ethic is crazy. Those guys, they practically rehearse the whole show in their dressing room before they go out there. So you see a lot of bands, you can see it online. A lot of bands do a lot of rehearsals in their dressing rooms and things like that. This band, same thing. These guys are individually unbelievable musicians, and you can tell on stage when they bring it. So yeah, awesome. 2 appearances by Matt this week on things that I'm on with the Kids on the Escalator podcast on Monday, which was awesome with Chris Machete. You can go there to check out our chat about retro video games and horror movies. And then today, of course, with this, which was touring and all the rest of it. Last week, touring roundtable with a bunch of guys from the crew. This week, Matt, one of the artists. It's going to continue various chats. I've got a whole bunch of different kind of guests coming up. I've got an all-women panel coming up, which is awesome. I'm super stoked to get the female perspective of what they're going through out there. And lots of different people that are involved in the industry, from buyers and people that do what I do for a living. And then other chats, coffee. Obviously, I worked a bit of coffee into the mix today with the Espresso Shot and the return of the Espresso Shot on the Brenton on Tour podcast, which is always fun to do, talking coffee. And, I got a lot of different guests coming up that are going to cover some different things. So BrentonOnTour.com is where you can go to find all those things. Find me online at all the different places, as well as over at DeanBlundell.com. Like, subscribe, all that stuff that people are telling you to do. Sure, if you want to do that, that'd be awesome. Join me over on YouTube. Add me over there. That'd be great. But mostly just keep tuning in. That's what I want to see. I want to keep seeing those numbers rise, and you guys sharing this with your friends and and I'm getting lots of feedback that you're enjoying the chat. So thank you so much. It is season 3 of the Brenton on Tour podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next week.